All right, we're here. It is championship weekend for the NFL, down to just two games. The Big
Mhm.
Eight last week was exactly what it was. We had four of the best games that I've seen on NFL divisional weekend. Radman was on top of his game just about the whole weekend. If you listen to him, you made some money, but now it's money time. We are down to the final four of the NFL here on Pro Talk Plus, the Winner's Edge on Stage Plus networks and various other social media platforms. How you doing, Red Man?
Beautiful, beautiful day. Beautiful. We went from -2 up to 10 degrees now. It feels like a heat wave here in the
A
Rock.
heat wave, yeah. There we
Yeah.
go.
But I'm hot. I'm hot with these games. I hope you took the 49ers last week, took those 7 points. You went home. You made yourself a lot of money if you bet heavily on the 49ers plus 7.5 points a week ago. They actually came out and won the game outright. Didn't need a point. I hope you took Kansas City Buffalo over the 54.5 points. They were well over 60, almost 70 some points scored in that game combined. Those were two of the easier winners that you could win. And I hope you had the Rams with the points. I told you take the Rams with the points as well. The Rams actually outright beat the Tampa Bay Bucks that were favored by 3.5 due to Tom Brady. Obviously, they like Tom Brady a lot that they put at 3.5 points. And right now, we're getting word through CBS Sports. It's not official. Unofficially, they're saying Tom Brady will be announcing his retirement from the National Football League shortly, according to CBS Sports.
Yeah, anytime you start thinking about retirement and word starts, whispers were going around. You've never heard that with Tom Brady before. He's
No,
always said he wanted to keep playing. You did not get that from him this time around. He was talking about the importance of family and his children. So the writing was on the wall that it could be coming to the end for probably the most decorated quarterback in NFL history. People can't argue with that. They can
no.
say, they can debate who is the best quarterback in NFL history, but the most decorated championship quarterback of the Super Bowl era is no doubt Tom Brady.
Absolutely, of the Super Bowl era. So keep in mind, early 70s, 80s, Tom Brady would not have survived the entire season because back then you could do whatever you wanted to do to a quarterback, clothesline him, pick him up, slam him on his head, the whole 9 yards. That's what happened to quarterbacks in the 70s and 80s. So keep in mind, if Tom Brady played in another era, no, he would not be the greatest of all time. But in this era, the era of 2000 to 2021, 22, Tom Brady, yes, he is the greatest of this time period. So always make sure you remember time period. He's not the greatest of all time. No way, no how, because physically he would not have been able to finish his career.
Most quarterbacks of the early eras just could not take the pounding, but so long. And Tom Brady only, I think, one injury that put him out for the season
Yeah.
against Kansas City, by the way, when he tore his ACL and was out for the season. Other than that, Tom Brady was relatively healthy, and he becomes the most decorated quarterback of this Super Bowl era and certainly the modern era. He has won seven Super Bowl rings, which is an incredible accomplishment with
Yes.
two teams.
It is incredible to do that with two teams, but remember, he chose the right teams. He's not choosing. He's choosing to go to the right teams. Obviously, he's not picking the middle of the road teams or the teams down at the bottom that he's trying to uplift some bottom feeder team. No, he's going right with a team that's close to winning, and that's what he did. He went to Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl with a loaded team, even brought in Gronk for added measure, and they ended up winning the
And
Super Bowl a
Antonio
year ago.
Brown. I mean,
It
they
is,
won
oh,
it.
that's right.
Antonio Brown helped him win a Super Bowl, got another Super Bowl ring. So this is an incredible situation. It's going to be a lot of changes going through this season. Kevin Colbert for the Pittsburgh Steelers is stepping down. It's going to be interesting to see who the Steelers replace him with. Brian Dable is on his way to the Giants, it looks like. The former offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So this has been a very interesting week. Uh, I think it capped off with one of the best games I've ever seen Sunday. The Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs gave everybody their money's worth. If you can't deny that. I mean, you may not like the outcome, but this was one of the best games I've ever seen of two quarterbacks, elite now. And Josh Allen, I know earlier you were talking, you even apologized, but I say it and I say it again that you are absolutely correct in how we have looked at Josh Allen, and it's been a steady progression with him. And you see the amount of work that Josh Allen has put in, and you saw a culmination of that work with what we saw on Sunday.
Yes, we have. He put the work in. He paid his dues. He still goes to quarterback camp, and he's showing that now he's maturing. The game has slowed down for him, and now he's able. And his nerves. He's gotten his nerves under control. So he's done a lot to work with himself mentally and physically to get him prepared to play. And you know what? I show he's a true pro now. He turned down the Pro Bowl. That was a good sign to me. He turned the Pro Bowl down and said, "No, I played enough football this season. I'm going to relax and get my body right and my mind right to prepare for next season." So, and that was the right move. You don't have to play extra games after the beating because he took a lot of hits this season.
Absolutely did. I mean, he those running plays. You and I never liked him, and it sounds like Brandon Beane didn't like him. But that's the way the guy plays. But you and I both know it's a culmination over time of those hits affecting you in the long run of your career, like we've seen with Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, and even Tyrod Taylor. Took a lot of hits, and it's a culmination of hits that I think affect you in the long run over your career.
Oh, it does. It does. You're not going to last. If he continues to take the hits he took this year, he's not going to be around past the fifth, sixth year. He's not going to see the end of his contract. You can put it that way.
Well, it looks like Brian Dable is leaving. What are your thoughts on that? This is a guy to me that has benefited off of the scouting department and, his coaching staff and the personnel that he's had. I don't find him to be that great of a coach. No. A guy that refuses to run the football. I just think he never utilized the amount of talent he had with this Buffalo Bills team.
I think he's not a fraud or a dead, but he's closer to not being a legitimate guy because when you look at the talent the Bills had, he did not use half of the talent. I mean, he had Emmanuel Sanders starting over Gabriel Davis. That right there tells me, what is your judgment? What are you seeing in practice that you don't see Gabriel Davis is the guy who should be starting over a 34-year-old receiver, Emmanuel Sanders? And then you got Matt Breida. You can't see that Cole Beasley should be cut and Isaiah McKenzie should be starting. And then you bench Isaiah McKenzie for a few games. And then other games, think about it. In the 2 years that we really had Isaiah McKenzie on the Bills roster, the 2 to 3 years he's been with us, they've been acting like he's just a road guy. He's not a quality player. He's not a big-time guy. And until – why does it with DeBoer, every time somebody has to get hurt for Brian DeBoer to put them in the game, and then you see how good they are, and you're scratching your head like, well, how come Isaiah McKenzie – hasn't been playing more? How come if you had Isaiah McKenzie and then you put Matt Breida in with him as well, if you cut Cole Beasley, you would have had room for Breida and McKenzie along with Devin Singletary. The three-headed monster could have worked very well this past season, but we'll never know because Brian Dable, for some reason, he's stuck in his ways. He's too conservative, and I think when he gets to New York after week 4, I predict right now after week 4 of the regular season next year, Mighty Oba, they're gonna be after him. They're gonna be on him like, what's going on, man? What kind of play calling is this? Because who you gonna get to do your play calling? And if he can't handle play calling,
yeah.
If he can't handle play calling, Mighty Oba, how can he handle being a head coach?
Right. It's going to be interesting to see how he puts the staff together. He's going to try to pick some guys from the Bills staff. So the Bills, they're preparing to lock some of these guys in. And I think the main person is Ken Dorsey. He's going to try to make sure that Ken Dorsey is locked into the Bills And I think Ken Dorsey is the front runner to take his place here as offensive coordinator. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next few days pan out. But we've got some great games coming up on tomorrow. We're into the Final Four of the NFL. Two picks only on the winner's edge. So we're giving you a lot of background on some very good games. Redman, how do you see the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, they did some good things last week, but really they never stopped the Buffalo Bills at all. I mean, no. They put some pressure on Josh Allen. They did do some things well on defense, but when the Honey Badger went out, they seemed to struggle.
They certainly did. They seemed to struggle when the Honey Badger went out. The middle of the field opens up, and I think the young quarterback is going to do well. Joe Burrows out of Cincinnati. If he's able to stand up on his feet, because his line right now, he's missing a couple guys on that offensive line. If they give him any kind of time, they can put some points on the board. I think they'll be in the 20s, Cincinnati. I really think they'll put 20-some points on the board, 25, 24 points, 28 points, somewhere along those lines. I think it'll be a very competitive game. Kansas City is going to have to come out. Andy Reid to have his main man, Eric Bieniemy, calling the plays, putting the plays together. And I see that speed because Kansas City should have won the game that they played in Cincinnati. It was some calls by the referees at the goal line that changed the outcome of that game toward the end of that contest. And both of those teams were in the high 30s in that particular game that Cincinnati won at home. I think with him out, Sneed is going to have to play better. Number 38, Ladarius Sneed. That guy, man, I was very disappointed in how he played, man. He was he was giving up big play after big play. Then the corner got back. He fell down when Gabriel Davis did a head and shoulder on him. He just dropped to the ground. These guys, they're terrible on. They need to upgrade their corners for sure during the offseason.
Ward and Charvius Ward and L'Jarius Sneed are at the corners.
Woo! And they missed Fenton. Fenton was out. Rashad Fenton was injured, so he didn't play. Maybe he might come back this week. But they need somebody else out there because those guys, you can take advantage of them. The Bills should have won this, but the Bengals, they got to run the ball a little bit with Joe Mixon to keep the ball out of the hands of the main guy over there in Kansas City. You got to keep it out of the quarterback's hands. You can't allow him to Mahomes to make plays, but I think Mahomes will make plays. And before I give the final prediction on this one, I want to let everybody know this prediction is sponsored by Burgos Tax Services. Get those big tax refunds at Burgos Income Tax. Get that big, fat tax refund. So the money you win this money, call tomorrow morning, 585-266-2680, and let Al Burgos and his excellent team, customer service-wise and quality-wise, they'll find the biggest tax refund possible that they can find for you. So you'll have that, your pockets will be chugged. You'll win some money with us, but definitely check out Al Burgos at Burgos Income Tax, giving out big and fast tax refunds. 585 area code 266-2680. This pick is brought to you by, and I'm picking Kansas City to win this one. Take over 54.5 points, over 54.5, which really is 55, over 55. Take Kansas City and also take a -7 because I think they'll pull away toward the end of this game, win this game by 10 points or more. Because I think they owe the Bengals a butt whooping because they know the Bengals, they got ripped off when they played in Cincinnati less than a month ago.
Well, Kansas City is going to give them I think Cincinnati is going to give Kansas City some trouble. Those two wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, man, they're balling out. And Joe Burrow, I don't know how you can win a game being sacked 9 times, but we should call Tennessee and ask them.
How do you – and I called that too. I said that Tennessee would sack him enough that Tennessee would cover that game. That was the one game I did miss last week. I thought sure Tennessee would win the game due to the fact their defensive front was so much better than the offensive front of Cincinnati's. And for them to lose the game, either without thinking about it, you got to think about it, Mighty Over. You sack a quarterback 9 times defensively. That tells me you either had turnovers or your offense just didn't move the ball at all for the entire day. It had to be one of the two, and it was a little bit of both. They didn't move the ball. They moved the ball, but Ryan Tannehill was garbage. He threw 3 interceptions. The first pass of the game was an interception. The first pass of the second half was an interception, and his last pass of the game was an interception. So that's the recipe for disaster and losing when your defense have put up a record 9 sacks in the contest. That tells you right there what's going on.
I've never heard of that before. And Ryan Tannehill and the offensive coordinator also, I think he put Derrick Henry in a horror. We talked about that last week. They act like Derrick Henry wasn't out for 8 weeks. You gave him the ball like he was fresh and ready to go. He had a foot injury. So his whole timing and his body is not used to being hit anymore. It just befuddled me, some of the calls that they made, especially when it was 3rd and 1 and the 4th and 1.
Yes, and you giving it to the guy who's been out 8 weeks. They were drinking their own Kool-Aid there in Tennessee, because we said that before the game. I said he's not going to be 100%. He's going to be able to help you, but they should have went with Foreman. Foreman was the guy. He was running hard too. I mean, he was running at full speed. He made first down. He had some big runs in that game, and it's amazing to me that you don't. Why would you even play Henry? I would have gave Henry some plays, but then when they started losing, they were behind. I would have sat Henry down and let this young boy go to work.
Yeah, Foreman should have gotten the brunt of those carries. Now, what is Cincinnati going to do with Tyreek Hill?
Boy, I'll tell you what, Cincinnati better find. They're going to have to try to corner him. They didn't do a good job of it last time. Basically, you got to limit his touch. Once he touches the ball, you got to be right up on him to make a play. You can't lay back off of him like Buffalo did in that second half. You got to be up on him. You got to bump him. If I'm Cincinnati, it's bump and run all day long. I'm bumping him. If I have to take a 5-yard penalty, I'll take a 5-yard penalty early in the game, because it's worth taking 5 yards than allowing him to beat you and then all of a sudden catch a slant pass and he's gone for a touchdown.
Radman, let me ask you this. Where does Kansas City get Byron Pringle, McCole Hardman, and Jerick McKinnon? Where did they come from?
Man, they off the waiver wire. They picking these guys up off the waiver wire. Obviously, Andy Reid and their scouts, they look for guys with speed. They see the guys who are on other teams that they probably wanted to take, but they were picked up in the draft. Jerick McKinnon, he was a decent running back behind Delvin Cook with the Minnesota Vikings. But the problem was he couldn't stay on the field. He was always had leg injuries, all kinds of problems, and Minnesota just finally gave up on him and waived him, and they picked him up off the waiver wire. It's amazing how Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs scouting department, they know what they're doing. They know what fits their system. Speed, more speed, and more speed. Coleman, Pringle, they got Pringle as a free agent. Here's Pringle out here making plays as well. McCole Hardman, we saw him in the Super Bowl in 2019 make some plays for Kansas City against San Francisco in that Super Bowl. That was a very good Super Bowl game, and I'm looking forward to this year's Super Bowl. It looks like it's going to be two good teams, a good, promising contest coming up.
Absolutely. Well, let's review your picks for the first game. Kansas City, Cincinnati. Can you give that pick again, Radman?
Kansas City, Cincinnati. I like Kansas City -7. I think Kansas City will cover the 7 points. And I think with the combined score between Kansas City and Cincinnati will be over 55 points. Over 55. I think there will be something like 38-24. Something like that. 38-24 or 34-28, something. I think Cincinnati will get there. Cincinnati will get off. But I think as the game goes on, Kansas City will be relentless. And you notice they're not like the Bills. They don't be relentless in punting the ball and things like that. They're going to get that ball down the field and move that ball, especially since they played them already. They already kind of know what they want to do. They were when I was still in Kansas City on Monday and Tuesday, they were talking about the game already, Andy Reid, and that they saw things on film from the last time that they can improve on. So I expect them to come out early and jump all over the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, that pick is in the books. Now we go on to the NFC Championship game. The Los Angeles Rams take on the San Francisco 49ers, all California final in the NFC. Can you believe that these two teams are playing again and that San Francisco has absolutely dominated. One team that they just dominate is the LA Rams. We'll see if it happens in the playoffs, because now they've got to answer the bell. How do you see this game? A lot of changes on both sides of the ball, but San Francisco has been playing some very good defense, and Deebo Samuels has become what is he, the prototypical wide receiver running back / running back in the NFL, him and Cordell Patterson.
Yes, no matter how far we move, we could get the year 2022, we still reverting back to the 40s and 50s with wide receivers being running backs and the whole 9 yards, people playing multiple positions. Deebo Samuels is the real deal. They can get him the ball. He can make some plays. You can run the ball with him. He can pass, screen passes. Elijah Taylor, I like him, the running back for San Francisco as well. The wide receivers are decent. Cool. These guys can play. San Francisco, they're a hodgepodge of guys, but people forget, and I haven't heard people mention this, Mighty Over. They're just 2 years away from being in the Super Bowl. They were just in the Super Bowl. So right. they're not that far off. They just had a lot of injuries in 2020, and during the COVID season, they had a lot of guys hurt. So those guys all came back, and they didn't get rid of those guys. Those guys all are back. They added some guys to it. Trent Williams is back with them. They got a nice offensive line, and the one thing is they're a physical football team. We spoke with Jared Bell earlier today from USA Today, and he mentioned about how physical the 49ers are. They take it to the Rams, so they take it to everybody they play. So keep an eye out about what's going on with this contest. I like the 49ers, how hard they play, and then you look at the flip side, and you look at the Rams. Matthew Stafford, he has all the tools on offense. Will Joey Bosa and Fred Warner and those guys on the 49ers come after him, or will they lay back? You got Odell Beckham making plays. Cam Akers is back, even though he's not 100%. He's another running back that's been out a long time and trying to come back and make plays. You can see he's still not – he doesn't have that speed that he had previously earlier, because he ruptured his Achilles back in July. So now he's coming back to play. The Rams – got to make plays. Kopp is a key guy for them. Cooper Kopp, are they going to cover him? The 49ers tend to know their tendencies. They play him well. I think it's going to be a good game. And before I make the pick, I want to say this pick is sponsored by the Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. Stop by and see Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency for all your insurance needs, home, health, auto, insurance needs. Give her a call today, 360-0094. She has two locations, 1094 Lyle Avenue and 511 Bean Road. The Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency, your local farmer's agent, but she's also a broker for Progressive and several other insurance agencies. So if it doesn't work with farmers, hey, she could hook you up with some insurance, just like she hooked me up and hooked me and my family up. And it's and I've been saving money ever since I've been dealing with Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. So you can save some money too. Area code 585-360-0094. And
all right, what is the pick? Los Angeles and San Francisco. How do you see it?
I see the 49ers take the 3.5. Take the 3.5 points. I think this is going to be a barn burner, but I do think the Rams will find a way to finally get over the hump. I think the Rams will be playing in their home stadium for Super Bowl 56, LV1. Take the 49ers with the 3.5 points. I like the 3.5 points. I think it may come down to a field goal with the Rams winning this one, barely beating the 49ers.
Well, I tell you something, the 49ers are going to have to figure out how to block Aaron Donald and Von Miller. That's a lot of pressure coming at Garoppolo. How do you see that?
Yeah, he's going to come at him hard. He's coming after Garoppolo. He can't turn the ball over. Aaron Donald's coming hard at him. Von Miller coming off the edge. I think they're going to run some draw plays. They're going to have to run some draws, some screens, because Garoppolo is really good with that short stuff. Now, he's good at a screen pass, a draw plays, things of that nature. He's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly and get that ball out of his hands, because if he holds on it too long, it's going to be a turnover. Because he's known for turning the football over. So hopefully he can get that ball out of his hands.
Well, Cam Akers had two critical fumbles last week. Luckily, the Rams were able to overcome them. How do you see their running game with Sonny Michel and Cam Akers?
Once again, Sonny Michel should be getting majority of the carries. Cam Akers coming off of that Achilles. That's the first real hitting he's really had. So I'm not surprised to see him fumble. And one time, Adama Suh just ripped the ball. You got somebody like Adama Suh on the other side of the line. I mean, he just put his hand in there and ripped the ball right out on that last fumble of Cam Akers. So I would go with Sonny Michel running more. Cam Akers, give him occasionally, even though he's an in between the tackle type of runner. He's suspect to fumbling only because he hasn't been hit. He hasn't played since July. That was his first real game since the summer. So keep an eye on that. I think Sonny Michel will get majority of the carries, and I think Matthew Stafford. He's another guy. Well, he's known for choking under pressure too. So it's going to be interesting to see which quarterback has the least amount of turnovers.
So what's your pick here, Radman?
Pick is take the 49ers with 3.5, but I actually think the Rams will win the game, but I think it'll win by a field goal. Take the points in this one. The 49ers played them tough. Take 3.5 points and under, and that game will be under 45.
So you're picking Kansas City and the LA Rams in Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles.
That's correct.
We will be there next week, and we will keep you up, abreast of everything going on live from the Media Center in Los Angeles. The Mighty Oba and the Radman Pro Talk Plus, once again, bringing you the best in NFL coverage right here, the Winner's Edge on Stage Plus. We will talk to you maybe next week and the week after. So the game is on February the 13th, but we'll be live all week from the Media Center beginning on next Monday. So make sure you tune in to various platforms that we're on, reporting live from the Super Bowl Media Center in Los Angeles, California. Radman, outstanding job this year on Stage Plus Network. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure getting this in. Very professional. We look forward to continuing to work with you. And hey, that's all for us here at Pro Talk Plus, the Winner's Edge. We'll see you in the next week or two, reporting live from the Media Center in Los Angeles, California. I'm the Mighty Oba. Radman, any last words?
Last words is enjoy these games. It's been a beautiful season. On Stage Plus, thank you so much for the high quality service. You did a great job. Thank to our advertisers, Burgos Tax Income Services, Big and Fast Returns, 266-2680, and Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. Please call our insurance agency and our tax people. Get you some money and save you some money with those two advertisers. Continue to make today your day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the games tomorrow, and we'll see you from LA in a couple of weeks.
All right. We'll see you then. Plus.